The distress signal went out at 3:12 Galactic Standard Time, a single pulse of panic echoing through subspace. The orbital station Thal Prime was failing. Its reactors were overloading, atmosphere systems collapsing, and the station's command crew, a dozen of the galaxy's brightest non-human engineers, had no idea why. For hours they debated equations, theories, and energy models, each more terrified than the last. Then, finally, one of them whispered what everyone was thinking but no one dared to say. Call a human. At first, it sounded absurd. Humans were considered problematic, chaotic thinkers, emotional decision-makers, unpredictable. But they were also infamous for one thing the rest of the galaxy couldn't understand. They fixed things. Not because they always knew how, but because they refused to accept unsolvable. So, from Earth, they sent Commander Elias Vance. He arrived in a battered utility ship that looked more like junkyard scrap than starship. The alien stared as he docked, stepping through the airlock with a coffee in one hand and a smirk that said, "I've seen worse." The station commander, a crystalline being named Villar, greeted him nervously. "Commander Vance, thank you for responding. Our reactor is destabilizing. We estimate detonation in 3 hours." Vance took a slow sip of coffee. 3 hours? That's plenty. Where's your reactor room? The aliens exchanged glances. They'd expected panic. Or reverence. Instead, this human seemed bored. "You don't understand," Villar protested. "The magnetic containment is fracturing at the quantum level. We've tried every containment algorithm." Vance shrugged, grabbing a worn-out toolkit. "Yeah. See, that's your first mistake. Thinking in algorithms. Let's go look at the problem before we talk it to death." Down in the reactor bay, the heat was suffocating. Energy arced between conduits like lightning trapped in a cage. The aliens dared not approach, their skin blistering from radiation. Vance just muttered, "Spicy," and kept walking. He ripped off a scorch panel, wires sparking like angry snakes. "What are you doing?" cried Villar. "Troubleshooting." He wedged a metal rod between two broken supports, rerouted a cable, and kicked a stuck relay with his boot. The humming changed pitch. "There," he said. "She's talking again." The aliens blinked. "You kicked a quantum reactor?" "Yeah. Sometimes they just need motivation." It shouldn't have worked, but it did. The radiation dropped by 20% instantly. The containment field stabilized enough for them to breathe again. For the first time in hours, hope flickered. Then the sensors screamed. New surge detected. Field collapsing again. Vance didn't flinch. He just grinned. "All right, now we're having fun." For the next 2 hours, the human worked like a madman. Sweat dripped into his eyes. Fingers blackened with plasma soot. The aliens watched in stunned silence as he bypassed circuits, rewired conduits with whatever was lying around, and muttered to the machine like it was an old friend. "Come on, girl, don't quit on me now. I know you've got it in you." When the final warning siren blared, Villar shouted, "It's too late. The core will breach." Vance's voice was steady. "Not if we vent the auxiliary arrays manually." "Manually? That's outside the hull. Then I'd better move fast." He sealed his suit, grabbed a magnetic clamp, and launched himself into the void. The aliens crowded the viewport, watching as a lone human floated against the burning backdrop of the reactor core's glow. He clamped onto the hull, wrenched open an emergency valve, and yanked the glowing rod free. The heat seared through his suit, alarms screaming in his helmet. He didn't stop. He jammed the rod into space, kicked off, and spun back toward the hatches the station shuttered beneath him. For a heartbeat, it looked like everything would explode. Then the light dimmed. The readings dropped. Silence fell. Villar whispered. He did it. When Vance floated back through the airlock, smoke trailing from his suit, he just muttered, "You're going to need a new pressure seal out there." The command deck erupted in cheers, a sound the aliens had never made before. To them, success had always been sterile, mathematical, perfect. But this was triumph born from chaos, from sheer will. Later, when things calmed, Villar asked, "Commander, how did you know it would work?" Vance grinned, wiping soot off his face. "Didn't. Just had a hunch." VLR's crystal facets shimmered with confusion. That's illogical. Yup, he said, taking another sip of his now-cold coffee. That's the fun part. In the following cycles, the story spread. Across colonies and academies, engineers whispered, "When even the AIs give up, call a human." It became a saying, a proverb, a warning and a promise all in one. Because humans didn't wait for perfect conditions. They worked with duct tape, curses, and hope. They failed, cursed again, and kept going. And somehow, impossibly, they made miracles look like accidents. Years later, when the Dominion fleet's flagship reactor began failing mid-battle, their general asked, "Can anyone fix this?" The answer came immediately, and everyone nodded grimly. "Call a human,"